Today is Thursday, January 21st. What to know about the new president's first speech to the nation and his first actions from the White House. He signed more than a dozen executive orders already. Also, at least one reason that could be why California is the latest COVID-19 hotspot. Plus, how big tech may help the vaccine rollout, the significance of one inauguration fashion trend, and which city will likely stand out in the 2021 housing market. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. A new chapter has begun in American politics. President Joe Biden took his oath of office, becoming the 46th president of the United States. In his inaugural address, the new president declared, "Democracy has prevailed." He then called on all Americans to become more united. Biden said, quote, "We shall write an American story of hope, not fear, of unity, not division, of light, not darkness." Biden asked those who did not vote for him to still hear him out and said that's okay if they disagree as long as it's peaceful. Some critics, though, have questioned if Biden will truly try to compromise and if his version of unity really means just go along with him. The president also promised to repair alliances with other countries, fight the raging coronavirus pandemic, and more. And he called it America's Day. History was made that day as well. Kamala Harris became the first Black person, the first person of South Asian descent, and the first woman to become vice president. As expected, the whole inauguration looked a little unusual for health and safety reasons. Attendance was limited, the seats were spaced apart, and it was all surrounded by 25,000 National Guard troops along with thousands more police officers. Thankfully, there were no major security incidents. After the ceremony, Biden walked right into the Oval Office and got to work. He signed 17 executive orders and other directives, many of them reversing actions President Trump had put in place. Here are just a few of them. On the coronavirus, Biden signed an order to stop the process of withdrawing from the World Health Organization. Dr. Fauci will meet with top leaders there today. On climate, Biden signed a document to begin the process of rejoining the Paris Climate Agreement. That deal includes commitments from all major countries to cut back their climate pollution. Biden also killed the permit given to the controversial Keystone XL oil pipeline. On immigration, Biden reversed a Trump order that gave money to border wall construction. He also lifted a travel ban on majority Muslim nations. Of course, that's just the start. In the next few days, Biden is expected to issue dozens more executive orders. As for former President Trump, even though he did not attend President Biden's inauguration, he did follow one tradition. He left a personal note for the new president in the Oval Office, and Biden called it a very generous letter. What the letter actually says has not been released to the public. Also, before boarding Air Force One for the last time, Trump made his final speech as president at Joint Base Andrews. He highlighted the work of his administration, pointing to the quick development of coronavirus vaccines, the creation of the Space Force, and the 2017 tax bill. And he told supporters, "We will be back in some form." For now, the former president is moving into his own golf club in Palm Beach, Florida. In one of her first duties as vice president, Kamala Harris led a swearing-in ceremony in the Senate. 3 Democrats took their oaths of office yesterday: Alex Padilla, who was chosen to take Harris's old Senate seat, as well as the 2 newly elected senators from Georgia, Jon Ossoff and the Reverend Raphael Warnock. With that, Democrats officially took control of the Senate, and Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer took over as the nation's first Jewish majority leader. But there's not a whole lot of time to get acclimated. Schumer said yesterday, quote, "We have a lengthy agenda and we need to get it done together." For starters, they just gave Biden his first Senate-confirmed cabinet secretary with an overwhelmingly bipartisan vote. Avril Haines was approved as the Director of National Intelligence, making her the first woman to hold that job. Expect the Senate to act on Biden's other nominees in the next few days. A leader of the far-right nationalist group, the Proud Boys, is now facing charges in connection with the riot at the U.S. Capitol. The FBI arrested Joseph Biggs in Florida. Prosecutors say he led dozens of his group's members into the halls of Congress. They have messages Biggs apparently sent last month saying things like, "January 6th is going to be epic." In other messages, he tells members to move about the city in small teams and to dress incognito. Still, Biggs told the FBI he had no idea who actually planned the attack. At least 5 other members of the Proud Boys group are also facing charges stemming from the riots. Researchers might have figured out at least one reason why California is a new COVID-19 hotspot. They say there's a newly discovered version of the virus circulating in the Golden State. On one day last week, more than half of the COVID-19 samples collected in the Los Angeles area turned out to be this newer strain of the virus. So far, there's no evidence this strain is any more deadly than the others, and more research is needed to know whether it's more contagious. It's also not clear yet how common it is outside of California, though it has already been found in at least 10 other states. Meanwhile, there's some good news when it comes to some of the other virus strains. New research out this week shows people who do get the COVID-19 vaccines will have protection against the versions first discovered in the UK and South Africa. Scientists tested the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines on the market now, and they found that they both work just as well against those two strains as the earlier forms of the virus. Overall, more than 16.5 million vaccine shots have been given out in the U.S., and more than 2 million Americans have received both required doses. All right, we have more news coming up, but first, a quick break to thank our sponsor. You may have heard us talk about it or read about it in the New York Times, InStyle magazine, or Forbes, but we're excited to partner with them because 1010 is an exclusive collection of 10 one-of-a-kind engagement rings designed by 10 of the most distinctive designers working today. Using only diamonds responsibly sourced from Botswana, 10 design masters have each produced a uniquely beautiful commitment ring. They're available right now exclusively on BlueNile.com, and when they're gone, they're gone. We all know that the diamond engagement ring is iconic. It's a timeless expression of the deepest commitment between two people, and with 1010, it's been beautifully re-envisioned in the hands of 10 modern designers working exclusively with sustainably sourced diamonds. So if you're on the hunt for the perfect, unique ring to wear forever, you're definitely going to want to check this out. Again, this exciting limited edition collection of diamond engagement rings just launched, and you can find it exclusively at BlueNile.com. Now, back to the news. If you did not see her performance, you may have heard about it by now. The words of the youngest inaugural poet in recent U.S. history quickly spread around social media after she spoke on stage. 22-year-old Amanda Gorman delivered her original poem, The Hill We Climb, during yesterday's inauguration ceremony. It was about overcoming obstacles, coming together as a nation, and taking part in positive change. Gorman told CBS News she researched speeches from Abraham Lincoln and Dr. Martin Luther King as she began writing. She told NPR she struggled to finalize the poem until the Capitol riots. Then she completed it that night. A variety of celebrities, including Oprah Winfrey, praised her performance online. Another thing people have been talking about after the inauguration ceremony, a lot of purple. Vice President Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, Michelle Obama, and Laura Bush all showed up in hues of violet. Some believe that was not an accident, that it represents bipartisanship. Of course, purple is what you get when you combine red and blue, the colors of the Republican and Democratic parties. Also, purple is one of the colors known for the women's suffrage movement that led to the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. So how did Wall Street respond to the new president's swearing in? Well, the S&P 500, the Dow, and the Nasdaq each closed at all-time highs yesterday. The AP reports hopes are high that a Biden administration will mean more immediate support for a struggling economy. Though that's probably not all it was about. Major tech stocks like Disney, Apple, Alphabet, and Facebook are doing especially well. And Netflix had its biggest single-day gain in more than 4 years. That said, the stock market can surge one day and tank the next. So TBD on how it fares the rest of the week. Starbucks, Microsoft, and Costco have all been tapped to help roll out COVID-19 vaccines. For now, they're just helping out in Washington state because the governor specifically asked for it. For example, Starbucks is helping design COVID-19 vaccination sites, while Microsoft is focusing on the tech side of things. Microsoft says its technology will be used to track appointments and vaccination records. And then Costco is focusing on vaccine delivery. It's apparently going to help get doses to local pharmacies. Washington state is hoping, with these companies' help, it can vaccinate 45,000 people per day. On a national scale, Amazon offered to help with the vaccination effort as well. The company wrote President Biden a letter offering its skills in technology and communications to speed up the vaccination effort. But we'll see if any of these efforts actually do roll out nationwide. For the second year in a row, Austin, Texas is expected to be the nation's hottest housing market. The real estate company Zillow surveyed economists, investment strategists, and real estate experts about what they expect for 2021. And as many as 84% of them said Austin home values would soar past the national average. That already happened last year, too. In 2020, Austin's median home price jumped more than 20%. And Austin is not alone. Zillow says cities like Phoenix, Nashville, Tampa, and Denver are also expected to see a housing boom this year. But other metros are expected to slide. Coastal cities like New York, San Francisco, and LA could see home values go down. And remember, we had a Zillow Trends expert talk all about this and other home trends in our most recent special edition Saturday episode over the weekend. And that's it for the main news today, but now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. And today's Thing to Know is all about a so-called power sharing agreement in the Senate. We'll explain why it's needed and how it might work. But first, thanks to our sponsor, Munkpack. If you're looking to eat a little less sugar in 2021 without having to give up tasty snacks that help satisfy cravings, then you must try Munkpack. Munkpack keto granola bars contain just 1 gram of sugar, 2 grams of net carbs, and they're only 140 calories. I love that they're plant-based and non-GMO with no soy, trans fat, sugar alcohols, or artificial colors. And yet, they have a super soft and chewy texture and delicious taste. They are one of my favorite granola bars I've ever had. So try it for yourself and you'll see. We have a special deal for our listeners. Get 20% off your first purchase of any Munkpack product by visiting munkpack.com and entering our code newsworthy at checkout. And Munkpack is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll exchange the product or refund your money, whichever you prefer. To get started, just go to munkpack.com. That's MUNKPACK, munkpack.com, and select any product, then enter the code newsworthy at checkout to save 20% off your purchase. And now back to Thing to Know Thursday. Since the Senate is evenly split between Democrats and Republicans, it's up to the Senate leaders from both parties to make a deal. You know how the last few years Republicans have led the Senate? That means the Republican majority leader alone has been able to set the schedule for things like what lawmakers vote on. Republicans have also been able to lead and have more power on decision-making committees. But now that there are 50 Democrats and 50 Republicans, it's not quite that simple. Democrat Chuck Schumer and Republican Mitch McConnell are still apparently negotiating a final deal about this. But Reuters reports Schumer is pushing for an arrangement like they had in 2001. Back then, the party leaders had to work together to decide the Senate schedule, and the committees were evenly split with Democrats and Republicans. McConnell has said he's open to that as well, but in a letter to colleagues yesterday, he said he also wants to make sure they keep a legislative filibuster. That means 3/5 of senators would all have to agree to end debate and move forward on a bill before it's officially brought to the floor for a vote. So it could give Republicans a better chance of blocking certain bills, even in a year they have less overall power. And that's your Thing to Know today. All right, thank you for joining us and listening today. We'll be back tomorrow with another news roundup. Until then, have a great day.